attention. We are here at the Success Conference 2016 for women here on the coast, and I have the pleasure of sitting down with Miss Kindra Hall, who gave an amazing, like everyone's been talking about a great talk this morning about storytelling. But I love the way that you talk about storytelling.
Yeah.
So, welcome in. How are you liking the event so far?
It's been wonderful. It's my first time in the area, and
the humidity.
So the humidity's been. I did have somebody say, "You need to go check your hair," which there's just nothing. It is what it is.
You got to embrace
right?
it.
It's just how it is. But no, I've loved it. I've loved the quality of the women. The programming has been excellent. It's just been a great experience. Yeah.
Absolutely. So one thing that you said in your talk that really just hit me was about how we all have stories. And I think that resonated with so many women in the audience, because a lot of times we can feel as though our voice doesn't matter, who wants to hear about me. What was it about that point in your personal life that really made you realize that?
You know what? Honestly, I think it's something that we have to learn over and over again. I mean, I wish I could say that there aren't days where I don't feel that way. Just the other day I was working on something and I actually said out loud to somebody, "Who wants to hear my story?" And I thought, oh my gosh, but I remember I had a unique I had a unique coming to storytelling. So I actually attended a storytelling festival. So storytelling in the very traditional, folksy, formal sense was a part of my life. And I remember going to these festivals and watching these storytellers up on the stage and the way everybody was engaging with them and loving their stories. And as a young person, I remember sitting there thinking, these stories are incredible. I just don't have any stories to tell. Nobody's going to want to listen to my stories. My life doesn't really have anything.
Yeah.
And then it was, I think it was about 22 years old, 24 maybe. And I was at an event and there was an opportunity to get up and tell a story. And there had been a story that was really simple. It was about dating and it was about, that whole experience. But I had learned an important lesson through this experience, and I really felt compelled to share it. And so I did. I got up in front of the room. It was like a late night session at one of the storytelling conferences, and I just told this very simple story about falling in love but not having the love returned, and it was funny and lighthearted. And afterwards, so many people came up to me and said, "I remember my first love," or "I remember," and I realized that because I told my story, they were able to relive their own, and that we shared in this really beautiful storytelling experience. So as much as I enjoyed it, so did they. And I think it was just in that one moment in particular, I realized, all stories, big or small, have a place, and they form connections, and I think that's when I knew. So whenever I question myself, whenever I think that, who would want to hear my story, because I think we all have those days, I remember that night, I remember that story, I remember that feeling, and I remind myself to tell it.
That's awesome. And
I just told the story to...
Exactly.
Yeah, sorry. You're going to get a lot of that.
This is why
from
she
me.
was here, because she's the master of storytelling. But really, what I love about that and what I've really gained being here at the event is connection, like you just said. And that's one of the buzzwords of the conference, inspire, empower, connect, recharge. Connections have really been, so instrumental today in everybody enjoying themselves. What do you feel connection plays a part in being a successful entrepreneur or professional woman?
I think, first of all, I think the word connection is one of those that now we say over and over and over again, that we kind of lose the meaning of what it really means to connect. And I had a moment actually right here in this room. There's some seats over there and some women were chatting, and one woman was sharing her story. And she's a female entrepreneur. I'm a female entrepreneur, and she was telling the story of making dinner for her children one night. And there was just this very sincere moment of, even though we're very different, we'd never met each other before, I didn't even know her name at that point, and I just felt like she is me. And when you have those moments, it's a really beautiful thing.
Yes.
And because we shared that moment, we both felt compelled to exchange information. And I told her about a resource I thought she would find valuable, and she wanted to connect with me. And that is how you grow. You can't just stay within yourself. You're not going to do anything more. You have to spread out, and the way you spread out is through connection, and the way you connect is through stories.
I love that. And what I really like about your approach as well is the transparency. Because like you said, how many people want to see us just buttoned up and perfect and having it all together at all times?
Yeah.
Never making a mistake. And I appreciate that from you, because even in your talk, which I know you're a pro at it.
Yeah.
I can still feel the genuine authenticity that you bring to that. So I'm curious to know, along your journey of being an entrepreneur, how important is that to really embrace your authenticity?
I think the highest compliment I ever received was the first conference that I ever spoke at, and I had no business really being there. Like, they just kind of called me, and I just kind of said yes, and I didn't have a speech. I knew I wanted to talk about storytelling, and I just went up, and I was so stressed, and I had all these things that I thought I needed to be, and I didn't sleep, and I finally, just shortly before I got up, I thought, I'm just gonna be me. Like, I don't know what else, I don't know who else to be.
Yeah.
And at the end, afterwards, I went out to dinner with another friend a friend I met who had been speaking there, and he said, I don't think I've ever seen anyone be more themselves up on stage. And I thought, right then, I was like, that is what I'm going to do. And it's weird because you have good days and you have bad days, right? You have days where it's working, whether you're speaking or no matter what the business is. And I always feel like on the days where it's just a little off, it is because I'm, for whatever reason, trying to be something else or something I think I should be, and it happens even with the best of intentions. And I realize in those moments I need to step back and just be me. And I think the thing for me with stories is, if you're uncomfortable being yourself, if that's something you need more time and practice in, stories, and especially if you start building the skill of doing it, can be a very safe place for controlled authenticity.
Gotcha.
So if you know the story that you want to tell, and you work with it, and you know where it starts, and you know where it goes, and you know where it ends, and it still reveals pieces of yourself, that you can share that story, still be authentic, but at the end of the day, know that, okay, but I know what I'm sharing, I know that I won't go too far, and so it's a really safe place to explore your authentic self, is my belief.
And I just love that you're endorsing this, because this is right up my alley.
Right?
I'm all about self-acceptance, and in the talk that I gave, I quoted you a few times, by the way, because it was about social media, so it genuinely is like storytelling, content creation, and so I just really loved. I told them, in being authentic, there's no one else that can do that better than you. Yeah, it's your greatest asset when it comes to you being, positioned separately in the marketplace.
Exactly. That's the only, you are the only you.
Exactly.
So it sounds so cliche, but when you settle into those moments where you just are you. Yes. You'll know that's, and I think we could all trace back the greatest successes in our lives. And if you were to really look at it, you'd realize that was a moment I was just being me. I wasn't being somebody else. I was being me.
And how much less work is it to show up and just be you and not work so hard? I have enjoyed this so much.
I know, you're great at this. I love talking with you. I hope you'll send this to me, because I don't even know what I said, and I want to.
Well, I have a few more things.
Yeah.
One, I would love to know from you. I've been asking women all day to finish this sentence. What makes me a successful woman is?
That I regularly ask myself if I am happy. And happy seems like a surface word, but do I feel right? Do I feel right? And there are moments where I'm like, ooh, I don't feel right now. I need to shift this or change that. And I'm really quick to figure out what it is that's making me not feel right. And then in the moments when I do feel right, I embrace that and try to celebrate it and to get more of it. So it's, am I happy? do I feel right with me? Not right with anybody else, not right with anyone. Do I feel right? And sometimes my right might look weird to, you know, like I'm not the mom that is gonna be there at the Halloween party. You know, like I'm not always gonna be there, but I feel right, and my family feels right, and then it kind of goes out from there. So I think that's what makes me successful, is that staying in touch with them.
I love that. Sorry to just trigger that question for you, but
no,
I just love getting the different perspectives of what people feel success is or what makes them successful.
Yeah.
Some people it's because I'm a mom.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And I feel like that isn't right for me to just say, well, I'm a mom and I have I have the best kids. They're super smart. They're really well adjusted. They have their own opinions about things.
Oh, nice strong
but,
wills,
I have a great husband, all those things. But there is also this other side of me. And for a while, I think I tried to feel guilty that there was this other side, or I felt like it was wrong, or that I should be, because there was a period of time where I stayed home.
Right.
And I know that there are many women who work really hard so that they can stay home. And I was staying home trying to figure out ways that I could work really hard so I wasn't, and it took me a while to realize that that's what's right for me.
And I love that, giving yourself permission, because we're all different. And like you said, checking in and saying, but what's right for me?
Exactly.
What's right for my path,
this.
my experience?
Exactly.
I love it. I have one more little happy.
Oh, I know. This is
this is not going to be
Are they
as
just
hard.
getting harder and harder
not.
as we go?
No, this is
Okay,
very
okay.
relaxed. Just read the question out loud or the
Take
statement.
your pick. Social media or off the grid? I don't understand what this means even. Would I rather?
Would you prefer to be on social media or no?
No, I mean, so I'd be lying if I said, social media. I love when I get the little notifications on Twitter, or when the little red dots are up on Facebook. I love that. Like, I love being able to interact. I feel like sometimes we do things and we feel like they're in a vacuum. So social media, it gives you an opportunity to get that feedback and to know that you are making a difference, especially if you're going out and touching a lot of people that you don't know that you are. So I love that. There have been times actually when I've looked at my personal profile on Facebook, not my business page, but my personal profile. It's like when things are really busy, and I'll be like, I wish I could just be her for a little bit and not this business page version. So there are times where it's like, where I set an autoresponder on my email, and I'm like, I'm so happy you wrote me. I'm also so happy to say that I'm taking a little time off. So I think they're both. And again, it's like what feels. You can feel when you go to one way or to the other. So everything in moderation. Is that too easy to say? It is. It's very easy to say that. But
Well, thank you so much.
yeah,
I've
thank
enjoyed
you.
this.